Okay. Today we are going to discuss project cutover activities. When we discuss the project life cycle as part of a go live, which is step number 5, cutover is one of the subtasks. We are going to discuss about cutover in detail in this session. The reason why we are going to focus so specifically on cutover is there is a lot of interview questions that come as in cutover activities. This is one area where people test whether you really have experience or not. So that's why I'm focusing on cutover activities. Alright, so what is a cutover? In order to understand a cutover, let's take some examples. Okay. Now here is a legacy system. What is the legacy system? The system that existed in that company previous to the implementation of SAP. So from the legacy system, examples could be mainframe system or other ERP. We could have many examples of ERP. So what other examples of ERPs? Like expandable, Microsoft Dynamics, so on and so on. From a legacy system, when we are migrating to SAP, we migrate their entire business processes, including master data, transactional data, and custom configuration, so on and so forth. So what goes on from here to here is we migrate, number 1, business processes. The same order, if a rush order was created here, and now it's created in the SAP system. Similarly, master data. The same customer Walmart existed in the legacy system. The same customer Walmart now needs to be created in SAP. Transactional data. Say on March 5th, the cutover is happening and the users are going to use SAP system going forward as of March 5th. So as of March 5th, the legacy system is going out. So as of that date, there might be orders, there might be deliveries that might still be pending in the legacy system. All of them need to be transferred over to the SAP space, that is transactional data. So the business processes need to be migrated, master data needs to be migrated, transactional data needs to be migrated. How do you maintain the business? How do you migrate the business process? You do configuration. So you configuration and customization. So you don't migrate configuration, but you rather redo them in SAP. Because the way a particular piece of order is created in legacy system is different from the way it's done in SAP. So you redo all of that in SAP using SPRO, some piece of coding, requirements, routines, blah, blah, blah. So configuration and customization needs to be created in the system in SAP as of March 5th. Master data needs to be migrated from legacy. Transactional data needs to be migrated from legacy. At a high level, these are the key activities that should be performed. So as we go forward, we'll see what are the how each of them should be done, and we'll go into the details of each of these three steps. So that was cutover. Now, why is every cutover different? Every cutover activity is different, meaning although the general principle is the same, every cutover activity is different because the way cutover needs to be done cannot be set in stone and say, yes, follow these three steps and you're done. No. You have to make some decisions and see if any extra steps has to be done, see if some steps can be eliminated, so on and so forth. If you take the same example, some legacy systems, they are migrating to SAP. Some decisions have to be made. For example, whether transactional data needs to be brought into SAP or not. What kind of decision can you make at that point? Why transactional data needs to be brought up? For example, there are orders for the past 6 months. So October, November, December, January, February, March. The orders have been for the past 6 months. Do they need to be brought over? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It is based on the discretion of you and the user community. They might say that we need at least 6 months of orders. In which case, you will be responsible for bringing the data. Sometimes you might say, no, it's given the timelines, we might not be able to bring in 6 months of data. Only we will bring in live data. I'll talk about live data in a bit. So every cutover activity is different. If you do it in real time, you'll understand it. But as of now, just remember that. Okay? So there are like 7 or 8 steps in cutover activity. These are not set in stone again. I have just highlighted all the steps that are necessary in a cutover activity. Some steps could be skipped, some steps cannot be skipped. Like I said, depending on the nature of the cutover, some of the steps are done, some of the steps are not done. But in a general cutover, most of the steps are followed in a big project. Okay, as usual, with any step, the first step is the planning. Cutover planning. What is cutover planning? What are the steps that are involved? I'll just skip to the section where the details are coming up. Okay, so this is the total 7 steps: planning, system setup, configuration move, transaction, workbench move, master data migration, transaction data migration, switch over to SAP, and then stop. 7 steps. Okay, let's go first over planning. So what is cutover planning? So we have to do a cutover. It will take some time. In big projects, very big ones, cutover can take 6 months. The activity itself is a project in itself. In smaller projects, this will take around 1 month. Again, in big projects, there will be a dedicated team handling cutover. In smaller projects, the same SD consultant has to do sales cutover activities. Consultant has to do material management cutover activities, so on and so forth. So at the beginning of the cutover activities, you define the general roadmap. How we are going to go about doing this cutover. So in the same example from legacy, we are going on to SAP. Let's say Dell is implementing SAP, one of the subdivisions. That legacy is going to go away and they're going to implement it in SAP. Right? So Dell is already on SAP. Dell has bought a subsidiary. Selling accessories, and they are on some legacy system, let's say. They need, since Dell has purchased that company, they want to bring all their business processes into SAP so that they don't need to maintain two different systems. So this could be a big thing. Maybe this subsidiary is doing $1 billion in business. This is a big company. They need to take at least 4 months for that cutover to happen. So there will be tons of master data, transaction data, and business processes, right? So this subsidiary, this accessories company, running on a legacy system, say mainframe, has 50,000 customer masters, okay, 100,000 materials, so on and so forth. In terms of transactional data, let's say they do rush orders. The names could be different, but roughly, I'm just giving you some SAP equivalents. And they do cash in, they do quotations, they do online sales, online orders, so on. So let's say 4 different order types, and then corresponding deliveries, invoices, so on and so forth. So as of March 5th, which is the cutover date, they have, let's say, 2,500 orders of online, rush orders 2,000, cash sales 1,000, quotations 5,000. All of them outstanding. As a general term, any outstanding orders that are, meaning orders that have been created but not billed yet, meaning maybe they are not delivered, maybe they are partially delivered, they have not been fully billed yet. So they are called live transactional data. Okay, live transactional data. Meaning they need to be handled somehow. If the order has been invoiced and paid, then we don't need to bring that over. Few reasons to bring it over, although sometimes the customer insists that we bring them over. There are very few reasons why we need to bring them over. In general, live data is the key data in terms of transactional data that needs to be brought over. The next is business processes. Okay, business process, what you have to configure. This is all configuration. Configuration and customization. SPRO and ABAP coding related things. So given this project backdrop, the project manager will look at the volumes. Okay, how many customers are we talking about? How many materials? How many orders? Any other customization that needs to be brought about, interfaces, data, so on and so forth. So a general roadmap will be defined. Okay? So which will include what? Staffing. Okay. Given the severity of the data, how long is it going to take? It's going to take 6 months. What is our budget? We need to do it in 1 month. So, like I said, yesterday's man-hours calculation, it takes 6 months to come, 6 months of man-hours to complete this project, and we need to do it in 1 month. Obviously, we need additional staffing. So, additional staffing will be defined, and specific roles will be defined. Who is going to lead the effort? Who are going to work under him or her? And the corresponding responsibilities. One person will be responsible for master data. One person will be responsible for transactional data. If it is a big project. Like I said, if it is a small project, the same person will be doing, the same consultant will be doing all the cutover activities within a month or half month. Okay? Like there will be site lead in a big project like Dell example, $1 billion project, in which case there will be different countries. For example, the Dell accessories company that it has got will have presence all over the world. So Americas, Europe, Asia. There will be different site leads. One site lead responsible for Americas, one support site lead responsible for Europe, one site lead for Asia. These site leads will be responsible for their respective data because America data could be different, Europe data could be different, their business process could be different. Very big projects I'm talking about. Okay. Next thing is war room setup for hypercare support. Now, this is a step that is just planned at this point. It need not be exactly done. What is a war room? War room. War room means a typical setup without a war room would be, so there will be cubicles in the office, right? So there will be different cubicles in the office. And then they're always scattered. Every day you go for a meeting, you talk about the status, and then you go back to your work, go about doing your own stuff. You could do it at home, you could do it in your office or lawn or wherever. In a war room, however, what happens is everybody in the team that is responsible for this cutover, let's say, will be brought into a single conference room. Because this is very critical that the cutover happen exactly the way that you have designed it. Everybody will be brought into a conference room. So depending on how big the project is, like if it is very big, then yeah, maybe there are 25 people. All of them will be brought into a conference room. Okay? Let's say this conference room is somewhere in America. Where is Dell? Dell, let's say, is in Atlanta. I don't know where it is. I'm just taking an example. I think it's in Texas. Okay? So everybody will be brought to a conference room, and that's called a war room. Okay? So a conference number will be switched on, and the European team and the Asia team will join this conference call. And they will have to stay live for 8 or 9 hours a day. Why a war room? Because anytime there is a problem, there is some issue, there is some problem, everybody will be up there. So you can't say that I'm having an ice cream somewhere or I'm doing something else somewhere. Right? Everybody needs to be there. And they'll provide you refreshments and whatnot. Okay, pizzas for lunch and soda will be available. Everything will be available. That's called a war room. Why is the war room done? So that things go at a much faster pace. Okay. Now, this can be done as part of cutover planning at the very beginning of it, or this can be done at the very end of the cutover planning. Let's say your cutover planning itself is 6 months. So this is 0, this is 6. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, no problem. But 6th month, for this 1 month or 15-day period, when everything needs to be done and finished up, then we'll start the war room. Here volume will start and end here. Okay? 1 second guys, hold on 1 second. Alright, I'm back. So that's the war room. Okay? The second major step is the basic system setup. Yeah, I keep talking about these different things, right? Like war room setup or master data setup. But like, if you don't understand some part of it, that's absolutely fine. You just have to understand the basic flow. The 7 steps that I talked about, and this is step number 2 that we are talking about right now. In terms of the details that go on during that step, if you don't understand some of the steps here and there, that's fine. You don't have to really worry about it because it's all theory. Unless you really face it, you won't understand it. And it might take some time for you to face that thing because not every project might have it. I'm giving it to you based on, the years of experience that I have. So obviously it will be a little difficult for you to understand. So not to worry if you do not really understand some of the steps. Just soak in whatever you can. Whatever you're not able to soak in, just leave it. Okay? No worries. The second step is system setup. Okay. So the planning is done. We know how many people are there. What are the total activities that need to be done? All that stuff is done. And the first thing is the production system needs to be set up. The major part of it, apart from the installation, licensing, patching, that will be done by the basis consultant. We don't have to worry about it. The hardware sizing also done by basis consultant, but they will take inputs from you, SD, FIFO. The inputs that you are going to give them is volume, number 1, and number 2, user base. Okay, these are the main data. Volume, meaning the system administrator or basis consultant will ask you, okay, how many sales orders are you expecting to create per day? How many deliveries are you expecting to create per day? Now, they can go and ask this to the direct sales users directly, but you are you are the link for that. So you can ask your sales users and say, okay, what kind of sales volume are we expecting? What kind of delivery volume are we expecting? So on and so forth. User base. Okay, at any given point of time, how many users could be logged on? And what is the total number of users? So for example, in this case of Dell bringing over that company, right? So Dell has bought this company that sells accessories. This company has a staff of, let's say, 2,500. That's the staff for that company. 2,500 people. This number of people when logged onto the system, obviously puts on a lot of load on the system. So the system administrators have to plan the amount of memory, the hardware, the computing power, so on and so forth. So this is the total number of users. Out of all of them, not all of them might use SAP, right? Only 500 might use SAP. The rest of them are like HR and their different departments which might not use SAP. Or they are sales guys who go into the field, so on. So all 500 of them use SAP. So this system administrator or the basis consultant has to take into account that 500 additional users will be added to their system. That's the user base. Volume. Okay, how many orders are this company doing per day? Maybe 1,000 sales orders a day, 1,000 sales orders, 2,000 purchase orders, and then 300 deliveries, so on and so forth. So in total, you might say a total of 7K to 8K transactions per day. So again, we'll let them know. Okay, this is the total number. So the basis consultant will size their hardware accordingly. That's called hardware sizing. So planning the hardware based on the volume of transactions and users that is going to be using that system. Okay, so they'll have some formula based on which, okay, if so many transactions are going to be done, if so many users are going to be using the system, what is the amount of RAM that I need? What is the amount of hardware, processors, how many processors I need, so on. There is a simple formula for it that SAP has provided. You can just use it based on the hardware. For HP, you use so many. For Dell, you use so many, so on and so forth. Okay. The next thing is the landscape setup and TMS, transport management. Okay. Landscape means, I hope you have gone through the landscape. Landscape means what is their dev system, what is their staging system, what is their quality system, what is their pre-production system. In case of this Dell, you don't need to set up that landscape because Dell already has a landscape. So when you are migrating this to Dell, you will just follow Dell's landscape. But if you are implementing SAP for a new company, then the landscape needs to be set up. Again, you don't have to set up a landscape. The basis consultant will set up the landscape. But he will take inputs from SD, MM, FICO, so on. Okay? So you will have to provide the basis consultant as to how you want the landscape to be. Do you want a pre-production system? You have to tell them. Meaning you, MM, FICO, everybody, all of them will tell them. Okay? Next thing is interface setup. Now, this company might have EDI interfaces, flat file-based interfaces, and different kinds of interfaces. That interface, for example, for orders might come in via an EDI interface. Invoices might go via flat file interfaces. So different kinds of interfaces come in and go out, and they also need to be set up in the new environment. The environment that is going to be used going forward, the SAP environment. All of those interfaces might require an EDI, for example, an EDI interface needs to be set up in SAP. The partner profiles needs to be set up. Many different things that need to happen. Flat file interfaces means some FTP servers need to be set up, right? The respective printers need to be set up. There are many things that need to be set up. All of these things that we are defining here, most of them will be done by the basis, but you will have to give your inputs. Basis wouldn't know what to set up until you tell him that there is an EDI involved, there is flat file involved, so on and so forth. Okay? He'll do it for you, but you have to tell him what needs to be done. Okay, so there is a There is a set of meetings that go between basis and the functional consultants, where the requirements will be given to basis, and basis will configure the system accordingly. So the basic system setup will be done. Third thing, or third step, major step, is the configuration. Assuming that you're all done for the 3 months or 4 months, you have planned it, you have executed, you have designed everything, and then finally that day has come when you need to move the configuration. You are ready. Okay, the March 5th that I was talking about. Now what? The first thing in a cutover activity after the system has been set up is configuration move. What is configuration move? Configuration move means all the STRO activities that have been done, right? So if you go to STRO, let me show you all the transports that I have created. Every time you go to STRO and do a change, what happens? It will ask you for a transport request, right? And that transport request, like I said, is a way to record the change that you have done. Can you record, can you see all the changes that has been done? Yes. Go to SC01 or SC010, SC10. Okay. And if you remove your username, all the transports will come up. If you put your username, all your transports will come up. In this case, they are very minimal number because I have configured everything under one transport. But if you look at your transports, if you have created one for each, which is the ideal way to do things, then there will be a whole bunch of things. Oops. See, this is how it will be. So Rajesh has done some, Deepthi has done some, Safdar, Farkan, Pragna, Siva, Sonal. See, this is how transports are recorded. So many transports. And all of them needs to be moved to the test system. So how many types of transports are there? This is important. Okay? There are two types of transports. You see, workbench, customizing. If you collapse everything else, there are two types. Workbench and customizing. These are the two main types of transports. Customizing transports means anything that you do under SPRO is customizing, generally. Okay, configuration related transports. Any piece of coding will come under workbench. This is customizing. This is workbench. Okay, customizing, workbench. Now, when configuration moves are done, there is a sequence in which you need to move them. Meaning, so if you go to a customizing mode, let's say, okay, this is, look at this, man K900216, and then there is 900214. So which needs to go before that? 214 needs to go first, and 216 needs to go next. What and why, you might ask me? Just take a simple example. TR number 1. I'm just taking a simple example. TR number 1. This defines new customer group. TR number 2. This defines new, any other data in customer master? New tax classification. Okay. Number 3. This defines new customer account group. Okay. Now, in this case, customer group, tax classification, and customer account group are totally different business entities, meaning they are not related on one another. They can go the way they like. You don't need to sequence them because When you create a new customer account group, it doesn't matter whether a new customer group is created or not. No problem. Okay. Now look at another example. Again, number 4, access sequence. You create an access sequence called ZDIV. Number 5, create a new condition type, ZCON, and in the condition type definition itself, you assign ZDIV to it, access sequence to it, right? Now look at this. If 4 doesn't go first into the system, that is not transported first, can 5 be done? No, this will fail, right? This is called TR dependency, and the way it's enforced is via numbers. So you take the first number, 214 first and 216 next, 212 next and 214 next. Right? They go in sequence. If they do it in sequence, then you don't miss the order. And that's very important. Okay? And basis will generally take care of it. But I'm just giving you some information about the sequencing. This is about TRs. TRs are done in sequence, so no problem. What about non-configurable transports? Now, some non-transportable configs. Some configs are not transportable. Okay, these are the configs. Number ranges VN01. Okay, let me go to VN01 /NVN01. Okay, so if you go define a number range, okay, any number ranges that you define here are not transportable because number ranges are not transportable in the first place. Why they are not transportable? There is a reason to it, but let's not go there. Number ranges are not transportable. So this is the dev system, QA system, production system. So there is a number range defined here. 01 stands for 1000 to 2000. Can you transport this? No. You have to go into this system and then define number ranges again. Same thing, you have to go into the system, go to SPRO and define number ranges again. Similarly, any updates to Z tables, period opening, closing, TVAR variables, don't worry about all of that. But there are things that are not transportable and has to be done in the system. And the prime example for that is number ranges, and these are the other examples. Okay. Next, workbench requests. Like I said, user exits, coding, reports, bodies, any other piece of coding are all part of workbench requests. So you don't have to worry about workbench requests because workbench requests will be taken care of by the above consultants. Okay. Any other settings like job variants, setting up of jobs, workflow. Again, if you don't understand that, that's fine. No worries. Next is master data migration. Step number 5. What is master data migration? All the different master data like condition records, customer master, customer material info records, vendor master, asset master, GL master. All of these are examples of master data. What is master data? You know what master data is. Can master data move after transaction data? No. Simple example is, for example, customer 1000 needs to go first, and then orders related to customer 1000 can go. If this has to go first, then it will fail if you have not created it. As simple as that. So the thumb rule is master data always goes first between master data and transaction data goes Next. What are the examples of master data you have created? Customer master. The ones that we are interested in is customer master, customer material info records, condition records. Consultants will do customer and vendor masters. So we are not responsible. Okay. Next is the sequencing of master data migration. So like I said, master data needs to go after config. The config needs to go first, master data needs to go next, transaction data needs to go next. So this is where step number 3 and 4 is where your config and customization moves. Next, master data moves. After that, transactional data moves. I hope you understand the reason why. If you create an order in a system without a customer existing, it will fail. So master data needs to go before transactional data. If you create a master data with account Z001 account group, and if Z01 config does not move, then again we have a failure point. So the sequence is like this. First, customization. Second, master data. Third, transaction data. This is the sequence. Very important. You have to remember it. Okay. Next is transactional data. Okay? You know about transaction data. Transaction data means orders, deliveries, billing, PJ documents, so on and so forth. Now, when doing transactional data migration, this is important. Which data to migrate? You don't need to migrate all the data from the old system, from the legacy system. Is it really necessary to migrate all the data? Can you do with just some of the data, like only part of the data? Only data that is live, only data that is as old as 1 month? That is a decision that's made on a project-to-project basis, depending on the requirements, depending on the load, bandwidth, and the available manpower. That decision is taken. Live data migration is the toughest part of cutover activity. Master data is easy, configuration is easy. Transactional data, live data is very difficult. Let's not go into the reasons as to why they are difficult. But bottom line is, it is difficult. Because there are so many considerations that have to be done. And hence, because it is difficult, a decision will be made as to whether how much data needs to be migrated. The minimum possible data will be done. Okay? Like I said, the basis for selecting a subset of data, the minimal set of data, will be live data first. Meaning anything that is still live, meaning an order that has not been delivered is live data. An order that has been partially delivered is live data. An order that has been delivered but not billed yet is also live data. Right? Order, delivery, billing, if that is complete, then it becomes dead. All we need to do is collect payment. That's it. That data need not be migrated generally, unless the user specifically asks you to migrate. So the key is to identify live data and move it. And live data means anything that requires further action. Like I said, order that needs to be delivered, order that is partially delivered, deliveries but not billed yet, bill that put on a billing block or put on posting block. That is transactional data migration. Okay. After all of these 6 steps are done, the 7th step is the switch over to SAP. So on that fateful Saturday or Sunday, March 5th, the cutover activity, after all the cutover activities have been complete, the old system will be shut down. And that's when the war room will start. User communication will be done. Users will be communicated saying, hey guys, your old system is out, the new system is in, and the basis will create their user IDs, passwords, and whatnot, and the war room will be started. War room because the system has gone live, right? So there will obviously be tons and tons of problems. So everybody will be ready for the users, for the business to run smoothly. This is switch over to SAP. Any other support activities that need to be done. End user queries, some user IDs might not be created properly, their authorization might not be there properly. They need to be given right authorization to create orders, to create master data, so on and so forth. There might be errors here and there, you might have to correct it. Okay? And finally, so that's exactly when hypercare starts. Let's say we are switching over on March 5th. March 5th. So at that point, hypercare starts. So everybody will be on their toes to support the users and make sure the business goes as usual, as planned. And from that point, like we discussed yesterday, the hypercare might continue for 1 month or 15 days or 2 months, depending on how big the project is. If it is a big project, hypercare continues for around 1 to 2 months. Smaller project, 15 days. Okay? So smaller fixes, bug fixes, enhancements will be taken care of with the hypercare. So anything that stops the business from happening will have to be absolutely taken care of in hypercare. Failure enhancement, something the customer can live with, but they are required because they are a pain, will be taken care of after hypercare. Okay. So and then after that 15 days or 1 month, when the hypercare is over, transition to full-fledged support model. Meaning there will be a dedicated team that only takes care of support. Only takes care of support. Support means general queries, small enhancements, big enhancements, bug fixes, defects. All of them will be taken care of by a support model. Support model will be a separate set of people, 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, depending on how big the project is, and they will only be doing support for it. They will not be doing any major developments, but only support activities. So that's how the project culminates. So that is the end of cutover activities. Any questions? Anybody has questions on cutover activities?